Hey guys, it's Mickey Klein again, Scottsdale, Arizona. Wow, big changes happening this week in the angelic and ethereal realms. I can tell you that a lot of light workers are saying that they've felt a pop, meaning it's as if the collective finally realized that we're free and that we are living in an illusion. And it's only an illusion that we give power to because of assumptions. And as those assumptions shift, as the foundation of the matrix we live in, the web, the tangled web that we've been living in starts to dissolve in front of us, we start to become far more aware of our true power. And we get to decide where we want to participate moving forward. So I have a lot to drop on you guys today. I'm literally just going to let it flow through me. The epiphanies that I've had over the last 2 weeks are unbelievable. Unbelievable. We all knew that we won, that it was game over, but it looked so bleak. And the illusion of loss was so intense, especially with all the, hokey pokies and with all the hospital abductions and all this stuff going on. It's been really hard to keep our head above water and see that we're actually being set free. But we are free. We have been set free. And I can explain that now. I can connect the dots now when I couldn't connect them before. I remember in 2018, I was saying to people on my channel, we're all about to be set free, but I didn't know how, and I didn't know what, and I didn't know what that meant. But now it's all coming together. So for me, it started on this journey. Well, I've been on the journey through the stars and all this fun stuff in my research. But when I really came into the tipping point, the reality of the tipping point was when we started this Bonds for the Win project. And I got to see people just rising from all over the country, these hometown heroes just ready to stand in the glory of God. And they were ready to play out their mandate as they know it today. And we are all demystifying a system that was put in place to manipulate and control us, right? So if you think about the time of Moses, the Pharaoh had they were the magicians of the time. They had fooled the people into thinking that they were the gods and that you had to do whatever the Pharaoh said. And in the house of the Pharaoh, which Moses was originally brought up as, he was brought up in royalty, he learned all their tips and their tricks and their trickery and their words and all those things. And he basically broke the spell in the house of the Pharaoh because he did the same snake charming. And so the people looked at Moses and they were like, oh my gosh, how did he break the spell? Well, even after the Passover and the firstborn children were killed if they didn't have the lamb's blood on their door. Even after all of this trauma that was going on during this time, only 20% of the Israelites left the Pharaohs, left the Egyptians and went with Moses to the Red Sea. And then we all know the history from there, right? The Red Sea parted. Moses moved his people into the promised land, and then the sea, closed in over the Egyptians who had now come after them. So the prophets of this day, this awakening, have prophesied that over 80% of people will come into the promised land, and that 7 mountains of influence will literally crumble and fall. So, I mean, I don't know if I can list them all out by memory, but you basically got, family and religion and government. You've got arts and entertainment, you've got education, and then you've got, there's one more, and I just forgot it. It'll come to me maybe, but these mountains of influence are going to crumble and the new ones will rise. And many of them have already started to rise because we're in this absolute state of transition. Okay. So, and the reason that we're in a state of transition is that Putin has now rolled out the QFS, the quantum financial system. He also went and told all of his press, if you lie ever again and on the news, then we're going to consider that treason. And they all ran for the hills. So we know it's just a matter of time. We know we're winning. We know we've already won this war, but it's how is it going to play out and what is our role going to be? Are we going to continue to focus our attention on the illusion, which is in the past. And that's what they created for us. And that's what I'm going to demystify for you in just 1 minute. Do we want to participate in the present, which is dissolving the illusion? Or do we want to participate in the future, which is the new mountains of influence, the new kingdom of heaven on earth? Okay. And when the money starts flowing into those projects, it will be undeniable. I mean, we've already won, but it will be undeniable to the people who maybe aren't quite ready to receive this gift yet. Okay. So how did Trump do it? All right. So like I said, when I started getting into the Bonds for the Win project, to me, pulling the oath of office and the bond or the liability policy for these elected officials was one way of pulling back the curtain on the wizard. We found all sorts of fraud. We saw them running and scurrying. We realized the power that we had by simply putting them in check and helping to wake them up, to help them realize that they had been weaponized, that just even good people put in bad situations have been told to follow policy and to be virtuous and to listen to authority. But ultimately, they were personally liable because they were breaking rules and laws and so on. So Bonds for the Win, to me, and pulling the bond process is sort of like pulling the curtain back on the wizard, and it gives us an offensive move. But then people started teaching me more about state nationalism. So what is state nationalism? Well, when we agreed to become citizens, we thought we were getting some benefit. But the truth is, what we were actually doing is we were becoming second-class citizens because we were agreeing to become employees of the corporation, the United States, Inc. So a citizen is an employee. And as such, the employee is beholden to the corporation's bylaws, policies, think police officer, policy officer, and their state statutes and revised state statutes. So they've been rewriting laws because we agreed to hand over our power to Congress, basically. So what we did is we used to be we the people who were over Congress because we created the government, therefore we control the government. But then when we agreed to become citizens, it is actually we the people, which you're not anymore because you agree to be a citizen, Congress, and then citizens. So a lot of people figured this out, and under David Straight's work and several others, they formed assemblies and they started to declare their state nationalism. Now, being a state nationalist, basically says, I'm no longer an employee to the state or to the federal corporation. Instead, I am beholden to the laws only of the Constitution. Okay, so in the court of law, they cannot treat you as a citizen, and they cannot behold, like, even all the laws that they made up, they can't hold over you because you are now state national. Now, does this take a lot of education? Yes. Yeah, people have to get to know what that means and so on. But I'm going to take a step further because my question is, if the United States, Inc. is dissolved, which it is as of 2019, and I can provide that proof and research below in the comments. If Trump dissolved the corporation, are we still employees of it? No. So we're not citizens. We're all state nationals. We're already set free. We're no longer beholden to their fake laws. They can no longer bypass the Bill of Rights. So if he dissolved the corporation, what was the 2020 election all about? Who were we voting for, and who votes for the president of a corporation? It's not the employees. Usually it's the board of directors, AKA trustees, or it's the shareholders, AKA the members who own the corporation. I'm finding out that it might have even been the foreign affairs that the Department of Foreign Affairs that always determines who our president is. So everything we did, every dime we spent, every ounce of energy that we spent, and I'm just asking the question, I'm in learning. I'm in training for reigning. Okay. So we don't know this stuff until we ask the questions and do the research. And it's time for us to know these answers, because I have a feeling that if the corporation is dissolved, their bylaws, their policies, their state statutes are dissolved. And I'm curious if that means the whole entire election, like, we thought we had a vote, but we didn't, because we were voting for a dissolved company. And they even took their stock off of the open markets. The stock is closed. They didn't form a new one. Instead, Trump restored the republic. So there's all these assemblies forming and militias forming under the republics. Remember when I said that the mountain of influence of government would come tumbling down and it would rise into a new form of government? Well, he restored the republic in 2019. And then he put out the Declaration of Independence in 2020, July 4th, 2020, which we've now got online. So if you you can go and be part of history and sign the new 2020 Declaration of Independence, which is you declaring, thank you, Trump, I'll take the freedom, right? So you can go to wethepeopledeclarefreedom.com and sign those petitions. We're creating a living wall of people, a living wall. Okay, so the next question I started asking is, so does that mean, and again, I don't know the answers. I don't know the answers. We only give power to an illusion if we believe the illusion is real. Is Congress still, are they dissolved because the corporation was dissolved? I don't know. These are questions I don't have answers to. I want to help. And I'm not looking for criticism, and I'm not looking for anyone to think I'm crazy. I'm looking for people to actually do research and provide constructive research and help me answer these questions here, okay? Because we all need to know this now. This was hidden truth, hidden knowledge, and we can't be scared of it. We have to go into it. Okay, so that's my first major question. Are we already state nationals? Are all those laws and all these Senate hearings where people are going out and they're creating these new bills and then people are enforcing the bills, are these bills even legit? And on top of that, under the United States Inc., if that's dissolved, were the states formed under as subsidiaries of that corporation? Are all the states and the state bylaws and the state corporations, are they dissolved as well? It seems like those are still running. And so I don't know, maybe they still have or seemingly have authority over us. The other thing that I'm really learning a lot about is that a lot of the judges are actually bankers and they are drawing. So let's talk first about the straw man. So a lot of people know by now that when we were born, they went and created a birth certificate in our name, right? And so birth certificate was a separate corporation and they actually started our first bond on that certificate. It's in blue parchment usually, and it's got a bond number on it. You can look on your birth certificate. Not only that, but there was a day you were born, and then there's a day that you were basically registered, and then there's a day that you were formed. So they're talking about your corporation. Okay. So whenever you went into court and you spoke to the judge and the judge asked you, what's your birth date? If you gave them your real date, but then they asked, but are you, in my case, Michelle Klon, they were basically trying to trap me because they were saying, are you representing the corporation? And if so, you just gave me the wrong birth date because the corporation was formed usually a month later. So they were catching us in perjury. And in their system, in their courts, we were guilty until proven innocent. And we were an enemy of the state until we told them we are that we're friendly and we're not an enemy to the state. So I'm learning a lot about how they were manipulating the courts. That is definitely the house of our modern day Pharaoh. We definitely need to go learn how they were using trickery, and we need to learn how to represent ourselves in court as our own free will, goodwill hunting. We need to hunt for our goodwill. It's time for us to really learn how to self-represent, because what I'm finding out is that it actually takes two to enter into the contract. You have to, the plaintiff and the defendant, right? They have to have a contract. Each of them have to agree to enter into that court case. And because we had a lawyer agreeing on our behalf, we didn't know that we're handing away our right to even go to court or not. And the lawyers had signed the bar, which is the British accreditation registry, which means they had already agreed to be royalty under the Queen, which is against our Constitution. Again, in the 13th amendment of the Constitution, it says that no one can be royalty over us. You are a king in this realm. You're a king or a queen in this realm. No one can be above or below you. But as lawyers, they were declaring themselves regents of the state. So they were like royalty over us. And same with the coroners. So we allowed them to slip into this position and to bypass our 13th Amendment, but we don't have to. Our 13th Amendment has now been restored. So anyone who has pledged allegiance through the bar to the Queen is no longer someone who should be representing us. Okay, so we have to learn how to represent ourselves in court. We also need to learn how to make sure that the judge operates under common law, not under the maritime law. So we're learning now about jurisdiction, which is basically just law. Juris is just law. Diction is language. So we're learning language. We're learning that we have a lot more rights than we thought we did. And we didn't know how to stand up for them. And we didn't know how to represent ourselves. And we didn't know what to say. So, okay, so let's talk about the straw man. So if they created this entity, this dead corporation in our name as a straw man, they then were creating bonds in our name, and they were making money because you're basically an asset. You're gonna generate a lot of revenue for them. Not only are you going to be paying taxes, which are also not legal, and I'm pretty sure the IRS is dissolved. Guys, time to look into all this stuff. But so, and there's no law. There's no law. No one's been able to come up with a law that says that taxes are legal. Just saying. So we're being set free, guys. This is a hidden knowledge. It's time for us to learn, because this is the Passover. This is the moment where we pass into a new reality. So basically, the straw man, they were always drawing money out of those accounts. They were double dipping. So every time you took out a mortgage or a student loan or car loan or whatever, they were actually drawing the money out of your bond. As a banker, they were drawing the money out of your bond that they created in your name. This is some form of identity fraud. I'm just saying, because first of all, we weren't of legal age when they formed our corporation. Second of all, they didn't ask us to re-sign anything that I'm aware of anyway, that gave them the right to be the trustee or the power of attorney over our living trust that they created without our knowledge. But anyway, they were drawing from these bonds. They were drawing from them when we went to buy a home. And then they were charging principal and interest on top of that. And they were amortizing. It was supposed to be interest throughout the lifetime of the loan, not yearly, not amortized yearly. So what I'm being told is that they have this information about how to draw money out from our accounts, but we don't. So we need to figure out and learn what it means to become the grantor or the trustee or the power of attorney over our corporation. So we either need to reclaim it, our straw man, or we need to learn how to dissolve that. And was that already dissolved? Have they already? Is this why they had to recover $2 million worth of gold for every man, woman, and child on earth? And before we realized that this, not only this entire illusion that we've been living in has been false, phony, and fake, but they didn't even have enough gold to back the money they were printing. They had over leveraged our income, our lives. They couldn't even back 20% of what was in every bank. So this is huge. I think that the White Hats had to have this stuff lined up. The QFS, they had to have the gold recovered. They had to have probably recovered bonds on behalf of all the people, as well as the trusts on behalf of every country, in order to consolidate those funds for us to be free people and gain access to that which they stole from us at some time. So now I get it. Like now I'm getting an understanding of how they did it all behind the scenes. So until we start to take, I guess, action and to become actively spiritually involved in reclaiming our air jurisdiction, which is our direct connection to God. So remember, when they created a trust in our name, they took over our trust on paper. Now, paper matters, even though we all know we have a direct connection to God. It still matters what they were trying to manipulate us into. We were entered into a contract with a corporation not a covenant with God. They took our living trust, the trust that we had in man and in others to protect us, especially our parents. And that's even more manipulative of them. They took our trust, which is our jurisdiction over air. And so they say that Jesus walked on water. Well, and this is a friend of mine who brought this into my attention, was because he didn't believe in maritime law. He walked on land, therefore he walked on water, and he was able to take jurisdiction over land, air, water law, and land, air, water, and especially air, which is our direct connection to our living trust, our trust in God and source. So anyway, I think this is fascinating. I mean, when Jesus walked this earth, it was his primary goal to set the captives free. And when he was on the cross, just about to pass on, he said, "It is done," because he knew he was sending his apostles to the four corners of the earth, and that the angels were here and upon us, so that we, the people, were eventually ready to be set free, and for the entire illusion to dissolve, just like the corporation did. That's pretty powerful. So I'm here to tell you, it is done. And now you get to decide, do I want to live in the past and to give energy to the old illusion? Do I want to live in the present and help people dissolve the illusion and to become an active part in reclaiming my freedom? Or do I literally just want to go be part of building a new kingdom of heaven on earth? Am I a visionary? Do I like to see it live in the future? And so, because there are assemblies forming, and I'll provide some links to those as well, where you can just go get involved with the people that are over it, the people, the consent of the governed, who are now making decisions on behalf of our country and hopefully our world. So I love you guys. As always, it's a sincere pleasure to continue to bring you hopeful information. It's where we believe, it's where we set our mind, it's where we set our intention. It is truly what we believe we can receive, we shall. And in a sense, it is only through this metamorphosis, right? They called him Morpheus in the Matrix for a reason. You have to go through the metamorphosis of breaking from the dark to the light, the cocoon, if you will, into a butterfly. And if someone were to come and cut that cocoon open for you, the butterfly often doesn't survive. So we have to go through this training for reigning. It is in our life struggles that we prevail. And so I think it's important that we all take a moment to come into alignment with our scroll of destiny, our Akashic record, our soul's mission on this plane, and ask yourself, what have I learned up to this day that's made me more powerful so that I can take the next transition, so I can walk people over that threshold? Because I know that the people that watch me, the people that tune into what I do and what I talk about, they're light workers. You guys have a spiritual understanding, army of the 144,000, those who understand this frequency and who are connecting to a higher good. We are being moved on this chessboard, and God's moving his pieces in all the right directions. So everything you've learned in your lifetime up to this point has prepared you for this day. What are you going to do? That's the question. What are you going to do? All right, you guys, I love you so much. We'll talk again soon. Bye.